Smokes, thanks for joining us on this one. This is generally how we get here. What do you think, buddy? You like this giveaway? Calm down. Whoa!
Join the team.
Maybe I can go under. Oh. Hey, this is the McGuire Review, and today we are going to be taking a look at Rising Sun. So let's lock in and get ready. Woo! All right, Bear. This is a long time coming, guys, and I am really excited about this one. I've been playing this game a bunch over the course of the last week or so, and I absolutely love it. So we will just get right into that. This game is by far, and I would categorize this game in the terminology has been used, a masterpiece. And it is a masterpiece. We all know Eric Lang. He designs fantastic board games. He is one of my favorite designers in the industry, as probably a lot of people out there would agree with that. But this one, he really nailed it, and he did a great job with the mechanics and just the way the game plays out. CMON beautifully skinned this game with the theme of the game and the sculpts. All the miniatures that you got out here are absolutely fantastic. And you can see these here on the 4K video, I'm sure, pretty well. But Bear is going to be doing some overview of these components here in just a little bit when we start to look at the game and look at some of the gameplay. But let's start out with the most important thing, because there is going to be another epic level giveaway on this video where we are going to give away one of the expansions to the new Rising Sun game. Now, you will see here is the base game in all of its glory, as well as a couple of the expansions. We'll talk about those here in a second. But the one we're going to do the giveaway on is the Dynasty Invasion. So if you know anything about this game so far, and I'm sure most of you do, if you haven't already been part of the Kickstarter for all of this, or if you've been out there trying to pre-order this stuff, because it does release on March the 30th, per all of the third-party sites, that's the date that this stuff is supposed to actually hit retail, and you can get your hands on it if you weren't part of the Kickstarter. Out of the expansions that are available so far, which would be Dynasty Invasion, the Commie Unbound, as well as the Monster Pack, this one is by far the most expensive expansion. It goes for around the $50 mark, depending on where you get it at various different sites, but it's around that $50 mark. So it is the most expensive one, where these are trending around that around the average of that $25 mark. So why did I decide to give this one away versus any of the other ones? The reason is because I feel like, one, this is by far the biggest and the best expansion of the three that have been released so far, and you can see that just kind of in the box size. It does have the most stuff that's available in it, and I have left it in the shrink. I considered, opening it up and showing the miniatures and going over it, but I wanted to make sure that whoever won this got it in the shrink. You can see there on the back, and I know it might be a little bit difficult with the lighting, but on the back there, it does have quite a few new components that are in it. You'll get two brand new factions, the Sun and the Moon Clan, which is a pretty cool theme as well that goes into this game. And then you'll get the 7 Lucky Gods, where that player will be able to take use of those quote-unquote monsters and not the base monsters that are in the game or the monsters that come with the Monster Pack. All the other clans and players will utilize those monsters. If you decide to go with the Sun or the Moon Clan, you will get to use the 7 Lucky Gods. Ninja, please! That's how that will work. You will get some more season cards as well. There'll be some more sets that'll be included. We'll talk about what that means here in the game. There are sets that are in these cards, so you can add some variability to the game as you play time and time again, and you will. But how to get your hand on this Dynasty Invasion? Here's the rules. Just like all the giveaways that we do on this channel, you want to hit that subscribe button, be a subscriber of the channel, and make a comment below. Now, I do not pick the wittiest comment. I do not pick the funniest comment. It doesn't work that way. I don't want to be subjective with the comments like that. So Bear does hit the button of fate behind the scenes, and we'll select one random subscriber that has commented below on this video. That's how it's going to work. We're going to hit that button of fate on March the 30th to celebrate the release of the game out into retail, and then I will contact that subscriber. We'll figure out where you're located. This is open to anybody in the world, and the channel will ship you the Dynasty Invasion expansion. Again, goes for around that $50 mark, and this is one that I will say is already sold out on a few of the third-party channels which I wasn't surprised by. So this is going to be a hot one, guys. You want to get on this giveaway. Hit that subscribe and comment below to make sure that you can get in on Dynasty Invasion. Now, let's get to the rest of the expansions that we have here, which we have two other ones really quickly. This is the Commie Unbound and the Monster Pack. Now, these, in my opinion, really just sort of add to the game. It enhances mechanics that are already there. Where with the Dynasty expansion, I think you're getting new clans, you're getting some new gameplay, you're getting new stuff. And not to say you're not getting new gameplay with these expansions, because you are, but it really does enhance some of the play that I think is already there in the game. Do I think these are a buy? Absolutely, because they do add another level to the gameplay, which I think brings a little bit more to the theme and brings a little more fun to the game. Okay, the Commie Unbound here is essentially just going to give us our miniature figures for each one of the Commie. Now, there are more than what we have here. There is a part of the game when you set up where you'll shuffle these tiles here, and they each have sort of a back that's similar. It's pretty cool artwork there. You'll shuffle those up, and then you'll put random ones out for each one of the games that you play. That way, every game has a little bit of a different variability to it. It gives you a little bit of a different experience interacting with these commies. Now, normally, you would just get whatever was on this card if you were to have the most, we'll say, force or shinto, basically worshipping these shrines here. If you had the most of your shintos on these, you would get the ability that's on this card, where, for instance, this guy here would give you 2 coins. This guy here would allow you to move the top of the honor track, and we'll talk about all this here in a second. But what it does is it adds a miniature for each one of them. This guy right here is awesome. I absolutely love his miniature. He may be my favorite. He is super cool. But it will add a miniature for each one of these commies. And the new thing that it does is it will also give you a card here. And on the card, it will list off something that commie will be able to do. So, for instance here, this guy says, only Bushi and Commie figures count their force in this province. So if he's on the board, only Commie and Bushi figures would count as forces within that province. So it's not only going to give you what the card would normally give you into the base gameplay, it's also going to give you an extra little ability, and you'll be able to take that miniature and pull it down onto the board, and it becomes part of your clan's forces, you know, obviously until the next season or the next round, and add to what you already kind of have going on the board. So you can see how it just enhances the mechanic and the gameplay of the commie that's already there. Much like the monster pack, what that's going to do is that's just going to add more monsters to the base game. You're going to get a set of these monsters up here, these dark, larger gray sculpts, which are absolutely phenomenal. The detail is incredible. Everything about these are super, super awesome. I can't wait to get these painted up. They're going to look absolutely fantastic. There's a lot of other reviewers out there that have started to paint these, so go ahead and watch some other reviews and see other reviewers actually doing some paint jobs on these. Okay? But that's what the monster pack's going to do, is going to add some more monsters to the base game and give you some more playability of those monsters. And you'll see that 2 of them, little Spider Queen looking one is pretty, that's a pretty awesome miniature there. I love that. That will be another monster, and then you got this tree that you can get, right? And once you do acquire these monsters, they are yours for the rest of the game. That's one thing that's a little bit different than the commie. The commie will kind of come and go season to season as you pray to them and you acquire them whenever there's a commie turn. But the monsters, once you acquire them, they will stay with your forces over the course of the game. And they do various things. Each monster is a little bit different. And it'll help you over the course of the game, which is a fun mechanic as well, because you'll start off with just, you know, your clan, but that you'll be gaining these monsters and then the assistance of the commie over the course of gameplay. So those are our 2 expansions, and again, the Dynasty Invasion, we are doing the giveaway on that, so you'll want to go ahead and hit that subscribe and comment below to be able to get in on that. Again, March the 30th is when we're going to be selecting that random comment. All right, so let's hit a little bit of the stats here on the base box. You can see it's a good chunky box. It's got some awesome artwork on the front, and then lists off the back there everything that you're going to get in the base part of the game, which you can see is a ton of stuff. So even if you didn't get the expansion packs, you would still be getting an enormous amount of gameplay and a ton of miniatures that's going to last for a long time. You get a lot of gameplay here, and I'll tell you, this game is a very smart game. It's simple, and we'll talk about that because something I really want to correct that I find out there in the market. But this is a very smart game, and it's a lot of fun. All right, let's look at our stats here, right down here, 3 to 5 players. So it is going to be, you're going to need at least 3, okay? This isn't a 2-player game. It's not a game you're going to be able to solo. You need a gaming group to be able to play this game. You need at least Trace, okay? So it's a 3 to 5 player game, 14 plus on this one. I don't know that I would stay 100% to that age range. My 9-year-old can play this game. But, I think when you really start to if you get a lot of adults that are playing and they know what they're doing, you probably do want to stick to this age range here, or the younger crowd probably will just lose because you can get very, very strategic in this game. I guess it all depends on, who that kid is that's playing, but I would probably stick to the 14 plus on this particular title. 90 to 120 minutes on this particular title. And I do find that to be pretty accurate. If you have the 3 players, you're probably going to be able to get through the game in about an hour and a half. And I'll explain why it takes that long because, when you get to the war phases, it's pretty fast. The commie phases are pretty fast. The actual political phases are pretty fast. I think most of the time that gets caught up in that 90 minutes is within the T phase, and that's what we start off with here at the very beginning. This game's done a fantastic job giving us this little symbolic track right here that will actually allow the players to understand how to just logically go right through the game, all right? You got some fantastic cards here we're going to look at that are going to allow you to see that as well. All right, let's hit the rule book really quick because I think the rule book is done really well. It's not very long. You're going to find your classic rule set here that's going to be nice text layout with color, images as you would find as a standard pretty much with anything nowadays. One thing that I do really like about how they went about the rule book is they give you very simple setup example here, and they give you an example of the gameplay and each one of the things you're going to go through over the process of that season, and it's very logical how you're going to step through the game. It isn't bogged down with a lot of strange movement and war-based mechanics that you would find in games like this. It's very simple when it gets to those types of things. And frankly, all of that information will be right on these cards that each player is going to have when you go through the game. And to be truthful, this rule book could probably be half of this size if they would have cut out the examples, because every time they tell you how to do something, they then follow it up with a very detailed and specific example of how it would play out, which, I think is good to add in the book. But if they took all that stuff out, just getting to strict rules, it could probably be half of the size that it is. So that just tells you that this game is not something that is overly complex. Let's talk about that before we start getting into some of these components in the gameplay. The game is not overly complex, and I found that with a lot of the reviews that are already out there today, and I'm watching these setups, and I'm watching the, how the rules actually work of this game, it felt like watching those videos that the game was incredibly complex. It had lots of different steps and lots of different rules and all these things that needed to happen every time it was someone's turn, and that's just not the case at all. This game actually is a very simplistic game and actually has very simple rules. But at the same time, it can be very strategic and it's a very smart game. This game is for your gamer's gamer, okay? And I want to make that clear. I think this can work as a gateway game. I think people can have fun with this. But if you get a table of a bunch of, board gamers, this is going to be a blast because of how the design of how this game works. When you have your T phase and you have your political phases and then you have your commie and then you go into war and everything over the course of those seasons being spring, summer, and fall, and we'll talk about there's 3 seasons in the game leading up to the winter, which is the end of the game. Everything that you're doing over the course of that season adds up to that final war step and that battle at the very end. And that is something that I really like about this because that's where the strategy comes in. As you're leading up to war, you're thinking about your alliances. You're thinking about, do you want to worship the commies and have their influence in that war? You're thinking about, do you want to pick up monsters or do you want to pick up actual season cards that give you benefits? You're thinking about how to position your troops around the board and where you should move them and where you should have them, where you should build strongholds. All these different things that you have in the game that you can actually put on the board. All of this you're thinking through as you come up to that war phase. That's really where the strategy, and I would say the intellect of this game comes into. And that would be the difficult part that maybe for, any player out there, that might be something they're going to have to get used to. So the first season, if they're not really a board gamer, that may be something that, they need to step into. But I'll tell you, by season 2 and season 3, I've seen people really start to love that and really get into the game. And it be a game that not only will work for your gamer, but also people that aren't really into this kind of stuff. And you might just want to sit down and say, hey, let's spend a Saturday night for a couple hours playing this really cool game called Rising Sun. All right, so let's go ahead and look up here, and I'm going to unveil these. There will be 5 factions that are included in the base copy of the game. There are 3 that are up here, and then I have 2 more boards down here. We've got the Bonsai clan and the Koi clan, and then you have your 3 that are right here, and we're going to look at these today. I don't want to short this at all, though, so I wanted to make sure that there are 2 more clans included than what we're showing here, and there are miniatures for those as well, which are down in these little boxes. And I will go ahead and grab these, because you'll find these boxes, this one here as well as this one here, that are in the box. So again, like CMON does it, it's all packaged really nicely in the box. And I'll set this out here and show you that you do have those miniatures, and they do come in nice little trays. You'll see there. So there is our Koi and our Bonsai clan, the yellow and the red. And all the figures you're going to need for those are right there in that box. Let's get it shut back in there. And all your rest of your figures, when you're done with them, whether they're painted or not, can go right back in this. And that's one thing that I like. They're all nicely secured back in these boxes. And even if you paint them, you don't have to worry about doing some custom inserts. I find they go right back in these trays very nicely. And they're well protected because these are some nice, thick cardboard boxes. And this one here will hold all of the monsters. There isn't anything in it, as I have all the monsters that are already out there. You will get some bases as well. That will be the various different colors of your clan. These are going to be used as you acquire monsters. Again, those do become yours over the course of that game once you acquire them. You'll pop your color base on that monster, so it's clear whose monster is whose. So you'll have those as well. Right, let's go ahead and get into our various clans. I'm going to go ahead and reveal these screens, and there we go in all their glory. Here comes the Dragonfly clan, the Turtle clan, my favorite, and the Lotus clan. Dragonfly clan is pretty awesome too. I really like this blue Dragonfly clan. But the Turtle clan, I think, is a favorite of most, only because, I don't know, it's just kind of cool. The Turtle clan, it's got a nice word there. People generally like turtles, and they do have the awesome ability that their strongholds, and you'll see their tokens are different than any of the other clans. The game will come with these square tokens you'll see right here. The turtle does have a little bit of a different, more artistic, a little bit of a larger token for its stronghold, because the Turtle clan's special ability is their strongholds have the ability to move from region to region, because they're thematically on the back of these giant tortoises, and they can kind of move through the board. Now, I will say, if you were part of the Kickstarter, and I will put a link in the description of this video below, so you can go to the Kickstarter and check out just, it's over, okay? But you can go check out the page and see everything that you got with this. The Kickstarter had some awesome stuff that I wish I would have been part of, and I have to figure out how to get my hands on some of these Kickstarter components. Specifically, I want the Stronghold Kickstarter components, because they included little plastic buildings for the standard strongholds, and the Turtle clan got the little building sitting on top of a big turtle miniature that represents its kind of moving around the board, and it probably is the coolest figure in this game. You probably have heard that already, and I do agree, it does look awesome. And it adds a lot to the look of the game. So I have to be able to figure out how to get my hands on at least the plastic bits for these strongholds. The other things they did was they turned a lot of these cards here into actual plastic bits, like plastic pieces versus the cards. Frankly, for me, I actually prefer these to be the cardboard. I just like the way that the artwork looks and sort of the paper background. I think thematically it just works really good with this game. So artistically, I actually prefer the component to be cardboard for the cards that they turned into plastic. But I absolutely want the strongholds. They did coins in metal. That would have been awesome to have. They did your little yin-yang signs in plastic. I think these were a really good decision to go plastic with, although the cardboard looks fantastic and the artwork looks awesome on them, but they went plastic with these as well. The reason why functionally I think those work good plastic is because you're sticking them together and you're kind of clanking them together, and over time, you know, that might start to sort of rub on that cardboard. I don't know. I haven't obviously played. You'd have to play tons before that would start to happen, but it technically could. So I think that design-wise was good to make that component actually plastic. So each one of these clans are going to have a different ability. It's going to list it right there on your card. There's going to be some things listed for you there so you know kind of what's going on. The clan's ability is also going to be listed right on the back so every player can see and remember what each clan's main ability is. Again, the Turtle Clan, their strongholds count as one force and can move as if they were figures. Where the other clans, their stronghold wouldn't count as a force and it wouldn't move. It would just stay right there. And strongholds essentially represent spawn points. When you're able to recruit, and that's one of the abilities you'll be able to do, we'll talk about that here in just a little bit, you will spawn new miniatures, new part of your clan at every point where you have a stronghold. So you'll want to have strongholds built out over the course of the land, giving yourself the ability to pull more figures onto the board. So that's what those strongholds really come into play. And again, when your stronghold counts as a force and can literally move around the board with your guys, you now have more power within regions, more force, this game calls it, within a region. And that can become very powerful. Now, other clans have abilities as well. Like if we look at the Dragonfly, you may move your figures anywhere on the map and may summon them in any province. Ooh, okay. That's pretty powerful. Now let's look at the Lotus Clan. Dictate the flow. When you choose a political mandate, place it face down. It can be any mandate you wish. That can be very beneficial as well. Like when you take these mandates, you say, you know what, I didn't draw what I need, because it is random what you draw here. So I'm just going to take one of these, I'm going to put a face down, I'm just going to make it a train, or I'm just going to make it a marshal, or any of the mandates that you can do. And you can just, basically when it's your turn, do whatever you want to do. And that's very powerful as well, especially if things aren't going your way. Okay, some of the other things that are shown here is you do have 3 different types of main figures within your clan. You've got your Bushi here that are basically your foot soldier kind of guys. They're your base sort of force within each clan, and they do have a couple different sculpts. Each clan has a couple different sculpts for those. And then you have your Daimyo, I'm probably going to butcher these names. Immune to betrayal, hostage, and other effects. That character is like your leader, and it's going to have a black base you're going to attach there. And what that's going to do is just signify this is your leader. And that guy is immune to some of the things that are going to happen in the game, which we just went over. And then you're going to have your Shintos, which are these guys. They have the white bases, and again, every clan has a different sculpt. And they're all awesome. Like the Dragonfly clan here has got this little bird-looking guy. Man, these are really, really, really cool. Bear, load up the video and get down on this. Bear's going to do a good job. He always goes back after the video and goes through. He's going to hit the monsters. We're going to get all the sculpts. We're going to get the clans as well as the board. You're going to be able to see all this, and we're going to let this run. Bear, run it over a few times, buddy. I know. Run it over a few times and let everybody see this, because this stuff is absolutely awesome. The sculpts are awesome on this game as well. I don't know. I just can't. I'm absolutely geeking out on this. And it is because, you know, you don't always. Sometimes you get a game that is beautiful artwork and beautiful miniatures, but the game is like, yeah, it's pretty good. No, the game is super fun. I mean, the game is there with everything else. CMON, you guys just nailed it on this one. It's a 10. It's a 10. It's a 10, Eric. Okay, you're also going to see end of game bonuses. It's going to be right over here. And then your seasonal income. So every time you start the beginning of a new season, you will get a set number of coins and money, which is you'll find right up here. Okay, so very simple. This is what these little boards have. It it shows you your honor rank over here. It's kind of where you start honor wise, and then it shows you where your kind of home base is and where you're going to start the game. And that's all it's on these boards here. It's very simple. I'll show you exactly what you need. Okay. Now, when we look at the various clans, and we'll just go ahead and we'll use our Lotus clan here. Let me move these out of the way and get the little board here. So this main board is going to be with every one of the players. And on one side, it's got the political mandate, and on the other side, it's got, on the other way, it's got the war track here and the war advantages. So when you are doing your political mandate phase, you're just going to have it up on this side right here, and it's going to show you exactly what each one of those mandates are going to do. And that's the things that are on this stack of cards right here. Okay, and then when you get to the war phase, which is the very end, that dictates by this little symbol here on the board, then you're going to flip it over, each player is, and then you're going to sort of start to bid on how you want to go to war. And that's interesting as well, because it may not just be how many people have acquired, force within these different regions. You may think, I got this because I got more force. There's certain things that you're able to do here with your money, and that's where these screens will come into play. You'll put these screens in front of you when you do the war phase. And then you'll take your money that you've acquired over the course of your season here, whether it's cards or things you've done, or maybe you made an alliance in the very beginning and you got gold from another player to have an alliance. You'll take all those coins, you'll sort of place bids on this card, and whoever has the most coins essentially wins the bid. If there's a tie, it's the highest honor. And then you're able to kind of play that out, and you'll get various different benefits. So we'll talk about that here when we get to the war phase. I do want to step through sort of the flow of the game. And that's kind of your main card that you've got in front of you. And again, this is where this game I think is incredibly simple. As long as you're just looking at this little visual track here, following it along, and you have this little card in front of you, you know exactly how to play the game. There really is no question. Everything is right on the cards. It's a very, very simple game in the way that it actually plays out. And that's why I love about this game. The design, it's strategic. It can be complex, but the rule set at its core is fairly simplistic. All right? So let's talk a little bit about setup quickly, and then we'll get into how this little track works, because it just really runs the entire course of the game. All right? So to set up the game, we'll just start we'll start right over here. So you're going to have 3 seasons, and with each one of these sets, and I'll grab this right here. So with each one of these sets, summer and spring and autumn, I said that in the wrong order. It's actually spring, summer, and autumn. That would be logically the way that the seasons work on this planet. Sometimes I get confused. So with these seasons, what happens is there are different sets that are in each one of these seasonal cards, as well as a base set of cards. So take all the base set, right? They don't have these little symbols on them, okay? There's like little symbols here at the corner. You just take the base ones and set them aside. Then what you're going to do is you're going to look through the sets, and each set is different, which adds variability to the game. You're going to pick one of the sets, and that same set, okay, this is important, the same set is used for all 3 seasons. Don't go like one set for one season, another set for another season. I don't know, maybe you could do that if you wanted to. The rules don't indicate you should do that. It should be the same set for all 3 seasons. You're going to pick that, and you're going to put it in the deck, and then you're going to start with your spring. You're going to flip them all over. They're all available to any player. Okay, you're going to kind of double them up because there are some cards that are exactly the same for some of them. You just kind of stack them on top of one another. You're going to set them out, okay? And that's how that's going to work for your season setup, all right? So remember, you got your sets. Every game, you can play with a different set. It does indicate a certain type of set to start with for brand new players, and then you can kind of change that up from there. Another thing you're going to do is you're going to grab these little political mandate cards here, and every one of them have those different political mandates. There are different ones. You got Harvest, you got Marshal, you got Recruit. There's another Recruit. What else you got? You got Train, Okay, and you got betrayal. That's all of them. Recruit, marshal, harvest, train, and betray. And those are the different types of political mandates that are going to happen. You're going to draw over the course of the game. So you're going to grab these here, and you're going to shuffle them up, and you're going to just set them next to the board somewhere. I like to put mine kind of right up there by the actual political mandate track. So you're going to set that right there. I like to set it right there, okay? You're going to set your, go ahead and set up your honor track here. You're going to put all of your different clans tokens right down here. You'll use those to track victory points over the course of the game, something that'll help you win there at the end. Well, it's one bit of way of getting victory points. You can get victory points other ways as well. And then you're going to set your honor here. And this is the only thing this is going to do. And that's very simple. You're just going to look at these cards here, and again, all of them say what your honor is. Your honor star says 3, okay? And then you got 5 for the Dragonfly, and you got 4 for the Turtle Clan. And you're just going to put those in order. So you're going to start with the lowest number, and that's going to start at the most top. So for the ones that we had here, it ended up being Lotus, Turtle, and Dragonfly. That's how the honor works. So in this instance, the highest ranking honor player is the Lotus Clan. The honor only really comes into importance when there is ties and various things over the course of play, which will happen quite a bit. So don't think that, you know what, I don't have to worry about this honor track, because it only comes into play if there's like a tie, various different things going to play out over the course of the game. So honor is important. Keep it in mind and don't forget about it. When you raise and lower honor over the course of the game, it just flips tokens like this. That's how it works. So you'll just continue to kind of flip back and forth, and it's kind of a rotational mechanic. That's how you move up and down along this track. Very simple. Put your honor on there in the order that goes. Every time that something that would change honor, it'll call that right out on the cards. One of our commie actually do that we were selected for this particular game, an example. You just up the honor. That's just the way it works. It's super easy. All right, you're going to shuffle your commie cards here, and there are more of them, okay? There are actually 7 of them included in the game. You will put 4 out. So you'll take them all, you'll shuffle them up, and then you'll just randomly say, okay, we're playing with this one, this one, this one, and this one. All right? The rest of them go back to the box. So again, that adds a level of variability as well. So variability so far, we got different sets on the season cards. We got different commies we're going to be able to interact with. Commie, again, incredibly simple. We went over that already at the beginning of this video, where when you have the most force on worshiping these shrines, you're going to just get, when it's a commie turn, you're going to get what they will give you. You're also going to get the little miniature that's going to come down to the board and help you do various different things as well. Okay, you're going to start from left to right when it's a commie turn, and it will, again, show you right here on the chart. Once you get to that, you're going to start from left to right. You're just going to go 1, 1, 1. You're just going to go right through the commies and say, okay, who's got the most force? Well, over the course of play, I had, a couple Shintos. I had a guy here. I had a couple Shintos on this one, and this guy had 1 Shinto right there. Well, let's say that's how it was set up over the course of those first 3 political mandates. It was a commie turn. We'd start here. Well, nobody's there, so nothing happens. We'd go here, okay, Turtle Clan. Turtle Clan has the most. That commie grants that Turtle Clan 2 coins. I'll take those 2 coins, add it to my Turtle Clan, and guess what? Boom, got this guy as well. So he comes down, and now he is part of the Turtle Clan and can help do various things. So we'll look at his card. Before resolving war in this province, all players with force in it gain 4 gold. So if I was able to acquire this guy over the course of the game, before resolving war over the course of that season, all players with force in it, so wherever he was, all players within that area would actually gain 4 gold. So, that's going to benefit maybe yourself as well as other players. You might want to use a strategy where you get him sort of out of the area of wherever other players would be to make sure that you're the only one that gets gold. That would be beneficial for you. So there might be a little tactic that you use there to marshal right at the end to pull that commie out of that particular area. Okay, here the Dragonfly clan would just gain this, and then respectively the Lotus clan would just get this because they have the highest force there. So that's how that's going to work. when you actually play the game. We already talked about our seasons. After you go through one of these, call this a phase, you're then going to start with the next season. Okay, so you'll put all these season cards away. There will be people that have acquired things over the course of that season, and then you'll get out your next season, which is summer. Do the same thing. You'll restart everything. You'll put that season out there, and then you'll have your new little war tokens here that are then put on the track. So we'll go right there because that's the next main component that we have. So we do have the war track here that does signify all the different areas that you're going to have battles or war in once you get to your war phase here. And each one of those are assigned a little number that is right next to the actual token. So you won't know what these are. You'll kind of shuffle them up, and you only put however many players there are plus 2. So you'll always have, with a base 3-player game, 5 of these areas out on the actual world map here. So that's something that's nice season to season and game to game, adds variability, is you don't really know where the different conflicts are going to take place over the course of each season because it is randomized. You'll flip these over, and then that's where things will start to be placed. And you'll place these little tokens on the board right with each one of those areas. And then when it's wartime, you'll start and you'll kind of go through each one of those. And whoever wins sort of the battle in that area, they will then gain this token, and that is worth a victory point at the end of the game. Well, for Season 1, it's worth 1 victory point. For Season 2, it's 2 victory points. For Season 3, it's 3 victory points for each one of these little tokens that you have. That's another way that you're going to get victory points over the course of the game. Which leads me to now kind of explain this victory track and why I like how the balance of victory points adds up. You may be a player that's sort of war crazy, and you're always going to have to try to get the most forces, win these war tokens, and win the wars and the conflicts in each one of these various different regions on the map here. And maybe that's how you get victory points. And you're not worried as much about maybe getting victory points by other various ways of gaining victory points. And, you know, you may say, well, hey, don't I want to be sort of the winner of the war in each one of these little areas? And technically, yeah, you probably want to be if you can, but it's not detrimental if you don't. You really can be very smart and end up winning this game through very good strategic alliances, as well as winning on regions that offer victory points. So you'll see right here, each one of these regions got a little symbol that sort of comes off of them, and they do offer different things. So this here, Kyoto, is that right? Kyoto, I think is right. So this little area here that the Turtle Clan's home is, if you were to win, and it is on the war track, happened to be chosen for this season in this example, it's number 4, to be the 4th battle once we get to the war. If I was to win in this area, I would get 1, 2, 3, 4 victory points. I can take my little token and then increase that and give myself 4 victory points if I was the victor within this particular region. Where if I was in this other Nagato here with the Lotus Clan and was to win, and if it happened to be one of the regions as part of that season's war, and it's not, but if it was, I would win a coin, I would win a Ronin token, and I would win a victory point. So let's hit the Ronin tokens. They're hiding right back here. These are little tokens that you can acquire over the course of the season, and they will help you have more force at the end when you go into a war. So these will be things that you'll use and you'll kind of put out when you're doing your coins on your little card when you get into war. You'll have these as well, and they'll count for a force within a various different area. And that's what these little Ronin tokens are really for. And you'll want to try to acquire these every time, you know, wherever you get the chance to be able to acquire these, because they'll give you that extra force there at the end of the game. All right? That's essentially all the components that we have in the game. I believe we've hit pretty much everything. Let's talk about what a gameplay flow is going to look like. And I'll show you just how easy this really is when you play the game. So we talked about setup. We talked about the various different abilities and things of cards. We talked about what each one of the clans are going to have that we have out on the board here. I don't want to forget, you will get your seasonal income there in the beginning to set up as well. So you'll get the coins that we referenced on the front of that card. And then we're now ready to play. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go right to this track, read it left to right, and the first thing it tells us to do is the T phase. The T phase is a very interesting part of this game. It's a phase where every player is going to take their little yin-yang sign here, and they're going to start making strategic alliances with other players. Now, you don't have to do this, and sometimes there may be no alliances that are made because people just can't agree on the alliance that they want to make. But when you think about the game, and really once you get into Season 2 and Season 3, you're going to be very much thinking about how to partner with another player over the course of that season. This is where a really beautiful mechanic of this game comes into play. There is only one victor, okay? There's only one winner at the end. There can be a tie if you're in an alliance at the very end. In the case of a tie, the player with the highest honor wins. So again, having that honor a little bit higher on that track is always going to give you that extra little boost if you get into a tie in pretty much any way of the game. That honor is going to give you that extra little boost. There are cases where two players can be allied at the end of the game and they're both tied for first player. In that case, those allied players will share the victory, okay? Now, it's not with, because you can't have two players tied with the exact same honor. There's only allowed to have one in each one of these spots. So it's that case where you're allied in the third season, you're still allied at the very end of the game, and at that point, you're tied in every way except for honor. Then you can share the victory together. That generally doesn't happen. If people go into alliances within that third season, you're going to get a betrayal at some point, which is a really funny and or fun mechanic because you know it's coming. It's not an if, it's when it's going to happen because, again, there is a single, you want to have a single winner for each one of these games. That's how the game is designed. But this T phase is going to allow players to sort of put their yin-yangs together on the board and indicate, hey, we're partnered over the course of this season, which means we're not going to really fight and kill one another. We're going to somewhat help one another, and there will be an agreement to what that looks like within that T phase. So, and that's the beauty. It could really be anything. It could be, hey, I'm going to give you some gold. I'll give you all my gold if you ally with me. And as you play this game, you'll find when that really makes sense. Like your forces are low, this other player's forces are high, or maybe they're located in a certain area that you want to have some command and some power in. There's lots of different benefits of why you would want to become an ally and partner with another player over the course of a season. And it does get really fun, and you would think, well, then that just means the other player is kind of screwed, right? Because if there's three players and two of them link up, and let's say those two link up for every season, and this other person is just sort of out, it doesn't unbalance the game where all of a sudden this other player is like super weak, okay? So I don't want anybody to get that thought where, people can just sort of gang up on other players. It doesn't really work that way. But it does give the players a benefit in playing, specifically when it comes to sort of their forces and how their forces work. And they don't have to worry about losing figures and fighting one another over the course of that season. So that's how those partnerships are going to work. So you're going to do that right at the beginning. So you're going to do that right in the beginning. And again, the more you play this game, and I think when you get your real gamers that are playing this game, that's when I think you're going to spend the most time over the course of the phases that you're going to go through generally, because people are really going to be negotiating. Then another player is going to get into the middle of it and say, oh, you want to give them 4 coins? I'll give them all my coins to be partnered. Or, there's all kinds of agreements that you can make, right? I'll stay out of certain territories. I won't play certain mandates. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can come to an agreement on and do. The beauty of that is you can come to that agreement, but it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to do it. And that gets pretty funny as well when those kind of things happen where someone's like all in and then you figure out they're just going to betray you and trick you. And betray is one of the political mandates that you can play, which will break an alliance right when it's played. You will lose honor, but you may be able to, you know, gain something through doing that. So that gets pretty funny as well when that kind of stuff happens. So right after you get done having your T phase and you have made your alliances or not and locked your yin-yangs together, then you will move on to the political mandate. And how that will work is your first starting player will select 4 of these little tokens here. All right, and they'll just take them right off the top. Again, these have already been shuffled, and they will look at them, okay, kind of in secret. And I've got a recruit, a betray, and a train. Let's say if it was, you know, the first round of this game, I'm probably not going to want to play a betray right off the bat. That probably wouldn't benefit me any right now. And let's go ahead and grab our little card here, because we're going to be looking at this card, and it's going to tell us exactly what each one of these things is going to do, so we don't have to remember. Okay, so recruit, it says all players, and it's broke up into an all-player benefit and then you and your ally benefit. And again, right on the card here. So all players summon 1 figure at each of their strongholds Shinto may worship. What's that? All that means is if you were to summon a Shinto, you can immediately portal him out and climb the mythical mountain and go up and, you know, start to praise at one of these shrines here, going for a commie. If you wanted to do that, or, you know, you could leave the Shinto right there, because again, that's worth a force if it's there. Once it goes up to do its worshiping to the commie, that's where it is. It doesn't count on the map as a force again. It can't be moved to the map again as a force. You only have so many forces. So you're constantly balancing, do I get a monster to have another force? Do I put my Shinto up here to praise to get some commie power? Or do I keep the Shinto down here as a force on the map? Okay, there's not hundreds of little figures everywhere. You only have so many, and you have to balance those over the course of gameplay. And that's important. All right, let's put this guy right down here because I like the way he looks. All right, so that's how the recruit's going to work for all players. And again, everybody gets to take advantage of this. And then you summon 1 additional figure. So if I was to play recruit, I would get 1 additional figure on top of the one that I already was able to put out on all my strongholds. And it isn't just 1. You're able to summon these guys out into the board on every spot that you have a stronghold on the board. So over the course of play, if I had, you know, 3 of these strongholds out here, I'd get to summon, you know, multiple guys. I'd summon, you know, summon 1 here, summon 1 here, summon 1 here, and once it went all the way around, I'd get to summon yet another guy and then worship if that's what I chose to do. So that's how that would work. And that's how these mandates are going to work. Once you select the one you want, it's gonna go to your player to the left, and it's gonna go around the table, and then it's gonna end with you. So you're actually the last player that gets to do what's ever on this mandate, unless the train, you selected the train mandate. That one, you go first, because train allows you to pick one of these cards. Okay, so let's go through each one of these mandates so you can kind of understand. They're very simple. We already hit recruit, and I do have 2 of those in my hand. That could be a possible choice that I could select. You could marshal, which means basically you're allowed to take your group of people and move those. You'll take your clan and you'll move those around the board. It says all players move each of their figures across 1 border or shipping route. You will see there are these little shipping routes here, so you can technically take this guy and move him. You know, here, well, there's a shipping route on that one too. Let's get an example like this. You could go across 1 border, and you can take all your figures if you want across the border, or you can just move 1 or 2 or 3. So it's up to you. Or you can jump on the little boat here and take this guy across the shipping route all the way across the deadly sea of monsters and over into the dragon fly clan area over here if you wanted to do that. So that's how the marshal will work. Again, there's an ability just for you and your ally. May also build a stronghold for 3 gold. That's how you're going to get your strongholds out on the board, is by paying gold and building those strongholds. And I will say a tactic and a strategy for the Turtle Clan is you want to get as many of these strongholds out on the board as possible as soon as you can. So when I play the Turtle Clan, I do like to do martial political abilities up front, because again, the more of these that you have out on the board for the Turtle Clan, their ability is these strongholds can move just like your figures can, and they count as 1 force. So you don't have to worry about getting as many of your figures out on the board because your stronghold counts as a force. Other people's strongholds do not. So that's a good strategy of getting these strongholds out, counting as another force, being able to move, and then it allows you the ability to say, you know what, I can get more shintos out here on the commies because I don't maybe need another one standing here because I've got my stronghold. So you'll want to watch other players and how many figures they have on the board and balance that out with what you're doing. Okay, over the course of your political mandate turns. That's martial. You can train, and it indicates right here you go first for that one. All players buy one available season card, pay its money cost. On every one of these cards, it's going to indicate how much money it does cost. It's right up here at the top. This one cost 1 coin. They're not too expensive. This one's called the Path of Light, and it's a Shinto upgrade. It says, at the end of a recruit mandate, you may place an extra Shinto on a shrine. Okay, so you're able to gain these abilities, and you'll get that ability and keep that card. You'll kind of buy that card. So it is important to be able to do train as well, because there's a lot of different special bonuses and things you can get by acquiring these cards, just like getting these bad boys. Okay, you and ally pay 1 less gold, which is pretty awesome when it gets into these monsters, because most of them cost multiple gold, and you can get a monster for less than what maybe it's worth. And you may want to look at that and see and kind of plan that, because, again, when you're in that T phase, you don't want to, well, you may want to give away all your gold, but you may want to give just enough away where you still have enough gold to maybe acquire one of these monsters if you're the one that pays and gets the train, because you're going to be able to, get it for 1 less gold. So that's something you want to pay attention to as well as you're paying. You can harvest. Every player just gets a gold when you harvest, but you and your ally collect rewards from each province where you have superior force. So wherever you have superior force, not only are you going to get a gold, you're also going to get the beauty of what each one of those provinces gives you if you were to win in that province. So that's a pretty powerful thing to do, the harvest. And then your last one, the Deadly Betray. You only replace any 2 figures from different players on the map with one of your own. If you have an alliance, break it and lose honor. What that basically means is you replace figures that are on the map with your figures. Okay? So replace any 2 figures from different players. So essentially it's 1 figure from one player, 1 figure from another player. It has to be from 2 different players. It can only be 2 figures in total. And it is a swap 1 for 1. You can't replace a Bushi with a Shinto. It's a Bushi for a Bushi, a Shinto for a Shinto. It does have to be the exact same character that you swap out for those. And then again, if you're in an alliance, this is kind of one of the funny things where it's like, if you're in an alliance, the alliance is broke, you lose honor, and that may benefit you in one way or the other. So that's always fun when the Betray comes up, and you'll find that over the course of Season 2 and Season 3 quite a bit, when people will hose people on that Betray right at the end before they go into war. All right, and that's each one of the political mandates. Again, it's right on the card. It's super simple. All right, so you're just going to pick one of those, and you're going to play it, and the rest of them you're not going to show. And let's say that I decided to do train. You'd put it right out there in that spot, indicating I've done my first political mandate, and then you would put these back on the very top, just like that. So the beauty to that is, when it gets to the next player, 3 of the 4 political mandates that are going to be chosen for the next player, and then 2, and then so whenever it's your turn to pick, you sort of know in your head what's in that stack and what potentially may be coming up, which is a benefit to each player as it kind of goes around, and it's scaled as it goes around. So that's nice, because you don't shuffle them back up, you put it right there on the top. All right, it's a train mandate, so we'll look down here. Okay, I go first in that one. It says buy 1 available season card, pay its money cost. So I'd go over here and I'd say, you know what? I actually want this. I actually want this really cool looking tree here. And let's say I was a Turtle Clan, and this tree costs 2 gold. Well, because I'm doing the train, it says I pay 1 less. So I'm going to pay 1 gold. So I'll grab a gold, and let's say I had all my gold still. I'd cash that in, and I'd be able to now gain this monster. At this point, I'd go down here, I'd grab one of my colored bases, and I would strap that on. Strap that on the monster here. I'd clicking in there, and now it's indicating that this is my figure for the rest of the game. This tree is really cool. Actually, I really like this sculpt. It says here that during a recruit mandate, you may summon a figure in this province, but you lose honor. So it just gives you, and again, these monsters stay with you the entire game. So I put this card over by my player's area here. It would be mine, and this would go out on the board. I could summon this out on the board, and let's just say it was actually here in my main base. What's going to happen is, and there is no limit to how many figures you can put in an area. So what's going to happen is during the recruit, I can then summon yet another figure, but I would lose honor. So let's say I did that. I went around and I summoned a figure again at every one of my strongholds. And let's say it wasn't my turn where I get an extra one. Well, I could still get an extra one and summon another figure if I wanted to. But then I would lose honor, and again, I would just do, I would do that swap like that, and now I would be at the very bottom of the honor track, which is not going to help me when I get into ties, but maybe later in the game I go over and I worship at this commie here, which allows me to move my honor all the way to the top if I was able to get that, which then that's what would work there. It would just kind of swap, and now I would be at the top once again if I was able to worship and get here, which I'm not. The dragonfly character is actually worshiping there for our example that we've done so far. So that's how these monsters would work. And then what you would do is it would simply be the next person's turn. They would draw 4. They would look at it. They would pick one. They'd put it out. Okay, then it's going to be recruit. They'd put it on there. The next player would go, okay, now I'm going to harvest. And you just keep going around, and all those things would play out. And now, all of a sudden, once you've done that, now we've come to here. Okay, it's a commie turn. All right, let's start at the left. Who's got the most force? Boom, Turtle Clan. Who's got the most force? Boom, Turtle Clan. Who's got the most? Dragonfly. Who's got the most? Lotus. And they would take those figures, they would gain those abilities, whatever that card allows you to do, and then they would have sort of that ability now because they've worshipped to that commie. If there was nobody that was on any of these, you just skip the commie turn, or you'd skip whatever ones nobody was worshipping at. Nothing would happen. Then you're back to 2 politicals again. So you'd go, all right, we're going to do a recruit. Then let's say the next player, I'm going to do a train. And then now it's a commie turn again. And then we're just going to keep going. It's this simple. And now we're at another political mandate. So we're going to go Marshall. That's what someone selects. And let's just say someone selected Marshall. Again, there was no betray during that season. We're going to do a final commie turn. And then we're going to go into war. So at this point, there's going to be multiple players. They're going to have acquired probably season cards giving them benefits. They're going to have acquired monsters they're going to have as part of their forces. And those monsters will be out, on the board, ready to go. There'll be more, figures out on the board. Let's just put a few of these guys out here. And there'll be some more figures out on the board that they're going to be ready to fight. There is a fight there as well over here in Edo. So we'll put that. Let's a few of these guys here. Let's put one of these guys here. All right. Let's just say that's what the board kind of looks like. Now we're going to go into war. So what you're going to do is each player is going to grab this card, flip it over from the political mandate side to the war side. And it's going to go through and it's going to tell you exactly what you can do. And you're just going to use your coins to stack bids on what you want. Maybe that's what you do right there. And any coins you don't use, you kind of put it down here below to indicate that you are not going for that particular type. Your Ronin tokens, again, like we talked about, are also going to come into play, and you're going to have those to add extra forces to the board. So let's just look at each one of these things that you're able to do, because you can really balance. If you don't have enough forces in an area, you can balance, not just straight up dying and losing. So here's an ability here. It's called Seppuku, maybe, I think. Okay, so if you do that one, it says, may kill all your figures, gain victory and honor for each. Okay, let's say you were here and the dragonfly said, you know what? We're just going to do Seppuku, and we're going to do that because we just don't think we're going to win anywhere. We're going to lose there. We're going to lose there. Let's just die in the honorable death, right? A samurai's death. So we will kill all our figures and we'll gain victories. We'll gain victory points, all right? And I'll just put it there. And we'll also gain honor for each one. So that would allow us to go ahead and kind of move all the way up that honor track and gain that. And we would get that if we put our coins on that particular one. Here we can take hostage. So you may take one hostage, take victory points from opponents. So this is a way where, you know, if you win the gold that's on that, and again, each area will go into battle with different players. So this would be the Lotus and the Turtle player. This would be the Lotus and the Dragonfly player. And you'll kind of go and you'll do those battles, and you'll show how you sort of bid out within each one of those areas. It's whoever has the most coins on those things will get those things. So this one on the take hostage will allow you to take one of your opponent's players, and you'll take it hostage. You will take a victory point from them, and you will gain a victory point. We'll also get extra gold at the beginning of the next season setup, so it is beneficial not just for victory points, but also for gaining gold. Because at the beginning of the next season, one of the things you do is you return your hostages to the players. When you do that, you not only get the gold that's on your chart, that your little screen here you normally would get, you also get one extra gold, not from that player, but from the bank here. You'll get one extra gold for each one of the hostages that you return back to wherever you took it from. You can hire Ronin. So these are the Ronin tokens. You do have to hire them. It says may add your Ronin tokens to your force if you got the highest bid on that one. And then you got a little battle outcome here, and it says Imperial Poets gain victory points for every figure killed. So whoever wins that area, which basically just means they have more force, the other figures are killed, whichever ones are left, and you would gain victory points for all the different figures that you were able to kill of your opponent, which is generally going to be a few, unless it's a big battle and just tons of people sort of all move into one area, which could happen. But you generally will find that most players, if it looks like this, you're not going to move in because you know you're going to die. So probably not a smart thing to move into that area. Unless you just want to do seppuku and kill your characters and gain victory points and gain honor. That may be a strategy to move in because you know you're going to die anyway, so just go ahead and kill your guys the honorable way and don't even let these forces kill you, and then you'll just gain victory and you'll gain honor. So again, there are strategies of being able to not just get decimated if you're in an area that doesn't have the forces that are really acquired. Okay, and you will go battle to battle like we already talked about. You'll go right through these different regions, right through these different battles, and again, the winner of that region will take that token and keep that, and that'll be worth victory points at the end of the game. All right, that's the whole game. That's how the gameplay actually works, and then you'll just refresh for the next season. Everything will sort of reset. Everything will reallocate. You'll get your starting gold again for that season. You will leave sort of where the honor is in place, where your victory points are in place. All of your gold and your Ronin tokens will sort of go back to the bank, and then you'll start with what your beginning season income would be. All the monsters are going to stay with you, and all the figures and tokens, what I mean by tokens is the strongholds, will remain on the board where they're at, okay? So all of that's not going to reset. That is going to stay where it should be. Your war track's going to reset with the new season. Your seasonal cards are going to reset with the new seasonal cards. All these things are going to be taken off, shuffled back up. Your political mandates are going to be back here. Coins and Ronins go back, right? But everything else, figure-wise, will stay on the board. You don't take all those off and reset them and then start the game back up like you would from the very beginning of where each player starts. Now, that's fun because then it keeps sort of intact what's gone on over the course of the game so far, and it makes it feel like from season to season to season there's this progression and a change of the war and a change of the battlefield that's out here. And that's what, again, makes this game really fun. It isn't like just each season everything just resets and it's just like playing another season over again and who can sort of be the victor for that season. It really allows the game to build upon itself and continue to, get more and more thematic and more intense as you go through each one of those seasons, stepping up to winter, which is the end of the game, and then you're going to do your final victory points and declare the overall victor of the Rising Sun. That's Rising Sun. You can see that it is a simple game. I know this video has been long. Most of my videos are Bear, I know. God. I just get so caught up in talking through these games, and I think it's important to talk through all this stuff. So I hope you guys do watch these videos and you're not missing out on some of the stuff that I go through, because I don't generally like to do just a components review or just a gameplay. I really like to cover the entire thing that you're looking at with this piece of artwork. And I do look at board games that way. They are pieces of absolute artwork from the box design down to the gameplay. And I want to make sure that all of that comes through in these videos, and you can see the mechanics, you can see the gameplay, you can see the miniatures. I know you were probably watching this video as we're going through this stuff that Bear had up for us. The miniatures are absolutely fantastic. These things will look phenomenal painted up. They look phenomenal in the form that they're in right now. What I may do is just a basing, maybe like a bone-colored basing with highlighting some of the things. Like here I might paint just the little guy that sits up on top of this guy. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm really going to go with a very artistic look for these that matches the art and the style of what we have here. I'm just so impressed with this game from CMON. They did such a great job. And again, guys, I really want to get my hands, I really want to get my hands on some of this Kickstarter stuff that you had. So if there's any way we can make that happen, that would be great. I winked. Yeah, I did. All right, let's do this one more time. I do not want to lose sight that we are doing the Dynasty Invasion giveaway. So guys, hit the subscribe button, comment below. March the 30th to celebrate the release, we will select a subscriber. That is comment below, and you will get shipped from the channel this expansion around the $50 mark. It's still in the shrink. It's open worldwide. Guys, please get in on this one. You're not going to be sorry. Especially if you're looking for this game. This guy's already sold out on most third-party sites. I know that the other expansions and the base game are still available at most places, but this one is already sold out at some of the biggest ones. It may still be available. You have to go check. But if you want a free copy around the $50 mark, you're going to get it from me. You're going to get it from this channel. I don't know anybody else that does this kind of stuff. I don't know why, to tell you the truth. I mean, there's giveaways, but never as epic level as the McGuire review. Literally had to wrestle this guy over the Dynasty Invasion to make sure I could give away to you. So please, team, get in on this one. It's going to be great. I can't say enough about this game. CMON, Eric Lang absolutely nailed it. Artwork is fantastic as well. The gameplay is there 100%. It's not just a bunch of eye candy. The gameplay is there with this one, guys, and they absolutely nailed it, okay? This is going to be a masterpiece game. This is going to be something that's going to be around for a long time. I look forward to future clans, future expansions, and other things to add to what we have here already on the table. Oh, just look at it. It's can't say the F word. It's unbelievable. So hit that like, click the subscribe below to join the team, ring the bell. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time. Roll them crits. Let's go, Barrett.